All right, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Welcome to SCSC X Nodalli interview event, which is going to be one of many interview events that we do of a similar format. Again, thank you for joining. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, for sure.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I can start. Hey everyone, my name is Jason Ramsay. I guess I could start with I went to university at Toronto Metropolitan University, formerly Ryerson, studied economics and finance there. A big part of my undergraduate career was doing exactly what you guys are doing here, starting clubs and running them. It was a lot of community-based initiatives. I was probably in about maybe 12 to 13 clubs by the time I left university. I was the president of my economics club, did things exactly like this. And I also launched Canada's largest student-run finance club called Investa Insights, and we have chapters at the leading business schools across Canada, where we do like market research, stock pitches, stuff like that. Actually, Sheridan is on the list for a chapter that we want to launch in the future as well. So yeah, huge into like student groups and community-based stuff. And that led me to my work experience in corporate and investment banking at the big banks like CIBC and TD. And if you don't know much about those spaces, they are extremely competitive. Investment banking, 15 positions every summer, about 2,000 applications or more. So to get an interview alone is like, you have to have 4.0, a bunch of coffee chats, a lot of extracurriculars and stuff like that. So I probably did about 150 coffee chats to get an interview for that job, which kind of led to me saying, I'm already trying to keep my 4.0. I'm trying to launch the biggest finance club while working a full-time internship. I don't have time for this. Let me try to figure out a way to automate it, which kind of led to Nodalli, which is what we do now. I'm the CEO of Nodalli, Daniel's the CTO, and we basically built a bunch of AI agents that identify contacts for you, reach out, then finds 200 people to speak with, identifies the contacts, emails all of them with a 14% reply rate, and then when they reply, it books those conversations into your calendar as a coffee chat. So I can still, keep my 4.0, run my clubs, all while still networking in the top 1% and getting that job in investment banking. So that's kind of my background and how I got to Nodalli. And I'm sure we're going to talk a lot more about the nuances of that journey and the lessons that I learned from there that I can share with you today.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next. First off, thanks everyone for coming. This is really like such a cool event. My name is Daniel Martinovic. I'm the CTO of Nodalli. My background's maybe a little bit closer to you guys. I did computer engineering at Ryerson, now TMU. I'm a little bit older, so I still call it Ryerson, to be fair. But during my time, a lot like Jason, I just kind of joined a lot of student groups, got involved with competitions, hackathons, case comps. And that kind of like put me in the space to really network and meet people, especially like Jason, that you wouldn't normally meet in like your programs. That's one thing I do like to kind of always suggest for people that are more technical minded is maybe meet a little bit more people outside of your industry, like meet business people, meet art people. These are the people that you work with and create with, and help bring your ideas to the world. So that's a little bit about me. Maybe some more background, I guess. I worked at Deloitte a little bit for cybersecurity. This is actually my third startup now with Jason. The first one I launched in 2019. It was essentially a platform that helped automate import-export for different companies worldwide. So it would help companies bring their products into North America and help with procurement. Lockdowns kind of killed that business, obviously. Global trade kind of stopped, and at that time, it really kind of pushed me to be an entrepreneur where the things will happen, like you will run into things, and to be frank, like shit will hit the wall, right? Sometimes. And you got to be able to like work through it and continue on, right? From there, I worked on my second startup. It's called Ucast. It's a two-facing marketplace that connected podcasters and advertisers. So think Facebook ads or Google ads, but for podcasting. So I exited that company, and now I'm working with Jason on Nodalli and bringing all my kind of technical expertise from there and learning so much from this guy. He's such a brilliant person when it comes to business, and that's one thing like I think a lot of technical people think is we're really brilliant on what we work on and what we do and what we build. we need people to kind of keep us grounded on the business side of things. So, yeah. Other than that, I think I'm a pretty laid back guy, pretty chill. I used to be a gamer growing up, and other than that, that's kind of what got me into being a computer engineer and as a software developer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, what kind of games do you play?
A lot of shooters, FPS. I grew up playing like CS, CS:GO,
Oh.
play Valorant. Might play with this guy soon for the finals.
Wait, the final. What's
The
happening?
finals. It's like a fast-paced shooter. The finals.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
finals.
Yeah. But yeah, that kind of really always got me on a computer, and people would always ask me to fix things, do things, help them out with things, and that's kind of what got me into engineering. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of us who get into computer science sort of start off playing a lot of video games, and then you sort of dive deeper and deeper and deeper,
Yeah.
and then you get into that, right? But I guess let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we have going on here. I guess the first question for you would be, in your opinion, what does good networking look like to you?
I can name a couple things, and then you could add on.
yeah,
Okay, so to date, I've probably done like over 200 coffee chats, and learned a lot of lessons. But some of the kind of the key ones that you're all going to face at some point in time. One is being, I'd say like one is being genuine with your networking. Another one is being strategic. And then another point would be having a long-term vision. So they all kind of go hand in hand. Being genuine is the hardest one that we all struggle with, because networking seems so transactional, right? You're like, oh, when I first realized I wanted to go into this very competitive field, and I was trying to figure out how, someone said, okay, you got to meet people. So I'm like, okay, let me reach out to this person and say, can I have a job? And that quickly learned that I legitimately said that in the first chat. I'm like, oh, so like, is there a job for me that I can do? And that didn't go well, as you can assume. But over time, over some volume, you learn that you probably shouldn't go about it that way. But not only should you not go about it in a transactional manner, you should just reach out to people you're genuinely interested in, because there's a lot of reasons for that. One is because your genuine curiosity will show in the conversation. You actually won't even need to prep that many questions beforehand, aside from just reading their LinkedIn, because you're going to be naturally curious about some aspects of their job or how they can help you achieve your goals. And you'll burn out super quick. Like probably by my 100th coffee chat with people in finance, I got to the point where I did not want to be in that chat. When I saw it on my calendar, I did not want to show up, and they felt that. And there's obviously no follow-up after that, and the relationship kind of died at that conversation because I didn't care about it. That's when I pivoted to startups and entrepreneurship, and that spark kind of came back. And I actually genuinely want to have those conversations with founders and VCs and things like that. So genuinity brings you very far. And having a strategic outlook, which is the second point, is really important as well. I think it's actually pretty nuanced. In the beginning, when you're in first year, any first years in the room? Second year? Okay, and then third year? Fourth? Okay, so a nice mix between like second to fourth. So I guess in your early years, like first and second, you can kind of shotgun because you don't really know what you want to do. So the goal is to find out what's out there and maybe set that as your North Star. But as you get into your third and fourth year, which a lot of you are, you want to already have a North Star set. So maybe you want to be in FANG software development. Then you can work backwards from there to have a very strategic networking path instead of just spraying and praying. So having a North Star would be very beneficial for me if I was back in first year. And then last thing is having that long-term outlook. Oftentimes we do one coffee chat, and in that coffee chat we ask for a referral, or we ask for someone to push our resume or introduce us to somebody else. Whereas kind of my outlook on chats now is it's always long-term. If I'm reaching out to someone, it's because I want to stay in touch with them for years to come. And I can kind of invest in that relationship over time. So like networking is like planting a bunch of seeds. You plant the seed today, but you can't really reap the fruits until years down the line. Whereas a lot of us try to eat the mango from the seed itself. So yeah, those are a few bullets that I'd say that we all should think about more in our first few years of networking.
Yeah. And I'll keep it a little quick so we can keep moving into more questions. But how I see connections is like, it's the same thing with friendships. You have your close friends, you have your acquaintances, and like, what's the main difference? It's how much time you spend with them and the quality of conversation. So how I see it is just keep high quality conversations with whoever you network with. Be genuinely interested in what they do and what they work on. It doesn't have to directly involve you or benefit you, but make sure you maintain that connection. And the frequency of it. So follow up with them, maybe send a message to them, reply to their updates. People notice that thing. You notice these things, right? So I just think of it in those two ways.
Perfect. Yeah, that's wonderful advice. I think for you, being in computer science, especially, like you might have noticed, there's quite a large portion of people that are like introverts or suffer
yeah.
with social anxiety and things like that. What advice would you have for them in terms of putting themselves out there or getting noticed?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think there's no like simple solution. I would just say one of the best things you could do is just set a time where you're going to send a message out. When that time comes, have it written up and just send it. Once you send that first one, everything else kind of comes in line. It's the same thing when you're studying for your computer science, your engineering exams. Once you really go through the first questions, they're a little bit more simple, and then you work through it, it gets harder and harder and harder. So how I see it is you just really want to start, and once you get into it, it gets a lot easier. In a more like pragmatic way, I would say maybe stick to online networking to start, and then once you get comfortable just understanding how to weave through that dynamic of connections, just building that network, start going to in-person events like what everyone's doing here right now. These are kind of the best ways to meet people. It's just in person. Zoom or Google Hangouts, Microsoft Teams, it can't beat in-person connections, and I think that's the best way to actually like get involved. No matter how shy you are, there might be someone that's a little bit more extroverted that will pull you into the conversation, and you just got to be in the space for that to happen.
Thank you. I think I'd agree with that because being part of this club especially I found that I made some of the most like meaningful connections that really changed my life for the better. So that's wonderful advice. My next question, I guess, would say, a lot of us here kind of go through the very tedious and time-consuming process of cold applications. Where's the balance between cold applications and networking and getting in through there? Like, what's the right, I guess, ratio for that, would you say?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, especially like in these times. I say these times because around 2020, we saw a lot of layoffs, a lot of hiring freezes due to economic uncertainty. But what was very interesting was there was the companies that did those layoffs and those freezes were actually rewarded for that behavior, so it led to them not only doing it out of necessity, but them also doing it out of preference because it boosted their share price and made their shareholders happy. So now we're seeing this kind of corporate behavior where companies actually want to cut the headcount. They don't want to hire young professionals anymore. Combine that with AI automating these nascent stage jobs, the market's harder than ever to break into. So before, if you asked me that question, maybe a couple of years ago, I would have said you want to maybe do like a 50-50 split, maybe actually doing more applications than you are networking. But nowadays, like the market's so competitive, there's so little jobs and so much talent that, man, you really need to stand out in some way. And the best way to do that is just by meeting the person that's pulling the resumes. Because he or she is going to see your resume and say, oh, I actually had a couple coffees with this person. I know that not only can they do the job, but I could actually hold a conversation with them. Yeah, I'll give them a shot at the job. So it's, I'd probably say for every application that you do, the application is not complete unless you reach out to 3 people that are relevant to the application, whether it be someone in HR, people that are currently in the role, or anyone else that's generally relevant to it.
Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I would say I think Jason like really touched upon most of it. And it's really like about how you approach it, right? Having a strategy and understanding, like for example, if you have a company that you really want to reach out to, I would say don't go through the necessary, like the normal means of just sending out applications. Especially in this day and age, there's so many like AI slop automated application writers, right? I know we've all seen them where, hey, someone says drop one resume in, it'll apply to 10,000 jobs. Come on, like those don't really work well. And a lot of companies nowadays are using AI to even go against it. It's almost like the castle and the cannon dilemma, where the castle gets stronger, the cannon gets stronger, and it keeps going back and forth. So I think the best way to actually like break into a company is just meeting people, like Jason said, and try to target a couple different people, not just one person. So maybe an engineer, computer science person from the company, a director, HR person. Try to get from a couple different angles, and once they know your name, it's a lot easier to kind of get that referral in.
Thank you. What would you say are some of the, I guess, strategies that you could use in terms of keeping a connection alive after a coffee chat?
I have two pieces of advice. One is simply have a tracker, have an Excel sheet or some sort of CRM, or some sort of table that tracks who you reached out to, when, and just a little reminder of when you should follow up. I think that's pretty standard advice and it works very well. As someone who's done hundreds of them now, I wish I had a tracker earlier on so I could actually go back and see what my reply rate was, what my what the total emails I sent out were, et cetera, and actually who I spoke to, maybe some notes regarding them. Obviously biased, but Nodalli does all that for you. It automates the outreach, and then also when you do the outreach, it tracks the metrics associated with that. So if I were to ask any of you now, what is your reply rate from your outreach in the past 12 months? Can anyone answer that question? I can. It's 14%. So that should be everybody. Everyone should be able to answer that question, right? So have a tracker. Nodalli's a good one. And then second is whenever you have a accomplishment, big or small, take that as an opportunity to update your network. So for me, when I won a stock pitch or even just placed in the top few, I'd take that as an opportunity to look at that list, find the people that I really connected with that I wanted to be mentors long term, and send them an email just saying, hey, you gave me some advice earlier on about whatever it may be, taking this course, reading this book. That ultimately contributed to this small piece of success. So I want to say thanks and also give you an update. It could be like 2 lines, but they really appreciate that, and it keeps you top of mind in their mind.
Yeah. I would just like to add, I think the best way to kind of maintain that connection is, and just a prefix, I am not the best person when it comes to like social media or maintaining posts and updating things. Like throughout my life, I've been kind of just, hey, let me just do my thing. Let me build, let me work on stuff. I don't really care about posting too much. And I would kind of tackle it in 2 ways. The first is maybe, like Jason said, when you do get some wins, you get some cool things you're working on, or you met some really cool people, just shout them out on your social medias, on LinkedIn especially when it comes to networking and for careers. And just try to go into that angle where, hey, maybe I post once a month, and then I'll move it up to once every 3 weeks. And you just want to keep kind of finding something that you work on that you're proud of and you want to show off to the world. And the second thing I think is maybe even more important is just find something in common with the person that you are connecting with. For example, me and Adam, we talked about games. So he talked to me about that, and I'm like, yo, that's a really cool conversation. And that's how I remember him from the last events. Like he kind of networked with me through a commonality, something that we have in common. So I think maybe finding something that you share with that person that you can talk about, that you actually care about. Like it's not some random stuff. It's the easiest way to maintain a conversation. It's always the easiest to talk about things you like and what you love.
I think that being in college, you're at a, I guess, advantage when it comes to, starting initiatives like businesses or clubs or doing anything outside of your academic work, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree, and if so, why?
Yes, I would say it's because of where you are. It's the people you meet. Everyone kind of in these spaces are really like working on something really cool. They really want to get out there. They're grinding. They want to make something of themselves, and it's kind of the best place to really find them and meet them, especially at networking events, case comms, hackathons. It's always the best place to meet, and that's the one thing that I would suggest is like the most important thing when it comes to like higher education is it's just really the people you meet through it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wait, was the question like the kind of the benefits of these hackathons or organizations, or?
Yeah, would you say being in college, you are at an advantage when it comes to starting initiatives like, for example, a business or doing things like clubs and things like that?
100%. Like, firstly, there's so much money in in supporting your ideas in the school system. Like, oh my! Like looking back, if I can like knowing what I know now about the amount of resources available to students, if I was in first year again, I could probably raise like 150 grand for like any initiative, like a club that I wanted to, just because there's so much out there for students. And we just, firstly, a lot of us just don't know about it. So maybe that's an idea for one of you that want to go and venture into that. Amalgamate those resources for students. We don't know about it, and we don't know how to obtain them. But there's a lot of it out there, trust me. And also, like the lessons from it are absolutely incredible. Actually, can anyone here name a class where it teaches you how to manage a 30-person team? Yeah, I didn't hear you. They might teach you it. They might, you can read a little bit about leadership and management, but no, like I got to manage a 30-member team by being the president of the economics club. And these are the actual skill sets that you're going to use in the real world. Additionally, Daniel kind of touched on like working with people that are non-technical. That's a really important skill set that you need to develop. I love working with Daniel because he's so patient when it comes to explaining the technical concepts with me, and he's so good at that. And he learned that through all the extracurriculars and stuff that he did throughout university. So yeah, not only is it easier than ever to do in university, but it also presents a really good edge and a necessary edge in this market that I described as very tumultuous.
Yeah. Maybe I want to jump on one really quick point there. It's as technical people, just a side note, never get too into the weeds with the technology when you're talking to people that are not technical. You're gonna lose them, right? You're gonna think it's like the craziest, coolest build that you've been working on, and they're gonna be reading that like, what the hell am I reading? So you want to keep it in layman's terms, just keep it casual and be patient. Like, Jason's a smart guy; he'll figure out anything I can explain to him. But there's no reason to kind of throw a bunch of jargon and technical words right away.
And the best part is, I think most non-technical people would be like, wow, that's so cool. I understand everything. And in the back of their mind, they have no idea what you just showed them. So like it's almost like you're kind of creating this culture where they're lying to you. So I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, having done a couple of coffee chats recently with some recruiters, right? It's very weird where it's like, as a technical person, it's kind of like sometimes I go off into too many technical details, but then they're like, I know what Python is. That's about it. So like a lot of the time what they're looking for is to see whether you fit in with the company as a person more than like the technical interview usually comes after. So that's a wonderful advice.
And on that, like the first barrier you usually go into when joining a big company is you're talking to a recruiter that's not technical. They're not technical. They just want to know if they like you and they can work with you. Yeah. It's about that. It's really that simple.
I wanna get an example from the crowd. Is there anyone in here that's targeting a specific company that you want to work for? Over.
Scotia. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let's take Scotiabank as an example. For Adam, he is targeting Scotiabank as a company. What are some strategies that he can use to create an outreach plan to specifically target Scotiabank?
Well, what do you want to do in Scotia, Adam?
What intern?
Wow, that's the most specific answer I've heard in my life.
Software engineer.
Software engineer, okay. I could start. Yeah, so actually I'm not sure if they're up right now, but we have a bunch of resources in Nodalli that actually tackle a lot of these questions. Like we have a free tracker available to you guys. We have a strategy building document that just asks you, it prompts you with a bunch of questions that you need to identify that North Star. And this is actually one of them. So my strategy to breaking into TD, so pretty similar to Scotia, is identifying, so for your first 3 outreaches when breaking into a specific company, you want to identify one person that's involved in the hiring process and maybe 2 people that do the job that you want. And you want to actually have, you want to have conversations with those 3 people, so you're probably going to do like 3 times, 4 times the actual outreach. And once you meet with those people, the goal of the conversation is not to ask for a job, for them to push your resume, is just to get some sort of advice. And once you get that advice, it's going to be like, read a book, do a course, or something like that. actually read the book, or at least a piece of it, like a chapter from it. It's not that hard. Actually do some of the course. Just take their advice. And then when you go back to them and say, hey, I did some of the thing, like this was really good advice. Can you give me some more? They're way more likely to actually have that second conversation and the third one after you actually do what they say versus if you didn't, because they actually see that, oh, this kid actually is listening to what I say and actually is taking the advice, whereas the other students don't. And that's what I do when I'm being reached out to for coffee chats as well. So eventually, if you do that, then in the second coffee chat, then you could ask for a referral to other people. And if you ask each one of those people for two referrals each, then eventually your network expands exponentially. And that's what happened to me at TD, where it got to the point where I got to the building. There's a lot of security, but they knew me, so they just let me up. I was walking around the office, they're like, oh, Jason, another coffee chat? I'm like, yeah. So I knew everybody on the floor already. And there's this thing called the super day in investment banking, where it's one day of 4 hours of back-to-back interviews, all different interviewers every 30 minutes. And I knew everybody. It was just like seeing the people, it's like reconnecting with the people that I already did coffee chats with. So that's how I go about breaking into Scotia.
Yeah, and I would say, like, I guess I don't want to give you too much advice, but maybe a quick story. It's really funny how I got my position at Deloitte for cybersecurity in the cybersecurity center, cyber intelligence center. It was essentially, I was in an event and I seen someone I haven't seen since university. And I was talking to them like, hey, how's it been? How are you? I just caught up with them. And maybe 30 minutes later, I asked them a simple question. Do you think I can shadow you at work? I just want to check it out. I want to see what you guys do, how it works. I just want to learn something. And he's like, yeah, sure. He hits me up 2 weeks later and says, hey, Daniel, you have an interview. And I'm like, what? I wasn't even looking for a job. I was looking purely just to shadow and try to understand what they do and see if it's a good fit. And from that, it spawned an interview where I landed the job and worked there. And you got to realize, like, just talking to people and showing interest in their workplace is something that people feel proud of. I think wherever you guys work in the future, it's something that you want to be proud of, right? You don't want to work a job that you hate. And a lot of times people showing interest in you and what you do, it's a really rewarding thing. So showing that interest a lot of times will go really far.
I really like what Jason said about actually doing the thing that they told you to do. Like a lot of the times for an interview or a coffee chat, you can explicitly ask them for feedback. You can be like, what can I do differently? And then maybe in your follow-up email, you can tell them about what you found based on their advice. And it usually works like a charm. And with that, I want to go to the next question. What would you say is like the biggest issue with the job landscape right now, and how does your product Nodalli aim to tackle that?
The biggest issue is the one that I outlined earlier. It's this squeeze between the supply and demand of jobs for young professionals specifically. If you didn't know, unemployment is generally high, but it's much higher for young professionals specifically. Why? It's the factors that I mentioned earlier. And during COVID, hiring freezes, layoffs, they were forced to stop these. They were forced to stop putting these postings out, but then they got rewarded for it. So it actually became part of their preferred behavior. They don't want to hire young professionals because it actually takes away from their stock price if they do so. And then combine that with AI, we're seeing a nearly unprecedented challenge for folks like you looking to enter the market. There's actually very little jobs that you can apply and get. And it's extremely hard. It's extremely hard for you professionally, and also just the mental challenge of all those things. You need to do so much more outside of the classroom to just stand out by an extra 2%. And that's what I found when I was trying to compete in the very competitive area of finance, which is investment banking. So a little bit more on the story. Actually, I guess maybe I'll jump into that later. But kind of the way that Nodalli is changing that is we're making it possible for you to still network like the top 1% without giving up so much of your grades, your social life. Putting things together like this when I was recruiting, I guess I should go into the story. I was balancing launching my investment club, keeping my 4.0, working 2 part-time jobs, and then and networking, which was taking me 20 hours per week. And then, unfortunately, my mom got ill, and she had to stay home, and I became the main source of income, but I also had to take care of her. Something has to give, right? Like I can't do all of those things. So instead of picking one, I built some of the automation that allowed me to automate the process of networking, save 20 hours per week, which I could reinvest into spending that time taking care of my mom, and still generate 150 coffee chats and get that job in investment banking. The fact that I was even presented with that challenge, that choice, is ridiculous. Like, why do we have to pick between all these things? So we kind of envision a world where no one ever has to pick between their family and their dreams ever again. So people sometimes look at Nodalli when they first hear it as like a simple networking tool to help students. No, we're really trying to change the way that networking is done forever, and we're trying to level out the playing field for those who don't have the fortune, the fortune to be able to break into these competitive fields while still trying to put together things like this.
With the process of building Nodalli, was there anything about the entire process of networking or the landscape of the job market that you learned as a result, or something that stood out to you as like, whoa, I didn't know this, or like something that was new?
Yeah, I would definitely say I learned a lot while building Nodalli, especially during the research stage. I would say coming from like a technical side as a computer engineer, software developer, it's really kind of almost insane how fast AI is developing. It's a tool that is going to completely shift the world. A lot of people think it's going to be as simple as the industrial period where all these factories came in, a lot of people started working in new positions, new types of jobs. I think with AI, it's a little bit different. One AI can kind of do the job of 10, 20, 30, 50, 1,000 people. And I think the people in this room who really understand technology and how to use it, I think it's a prime time to kind of be like the orchestrator of that technology. You should really try to learn the new tools. And what I truly believe in is you got to ruthlessly learn and develop new skills and new tools and understand how they work, because the world is going to use them, and there's no reason why you guys aren't the maestros of it. So that's my only kind of like thing I want to say. And I would say the job market is changing really fast because of AI, and they're going to need people to kind of orchestrate it, that understand technology and understand how it works under the hood. And that job is going to be kind of the booming sector coming forward.
Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think that was good.
Compared to similar tools like Nodalli that automate outreach or use AI for the job hunting process, how does Nodalli stand out or do things differently?
I love that question. Yeah, because when I was doing all those coffee chats, like I got presented with a decision, right? What do I want to give up? Time with my family or in clubs and stuff, or my grades. Obviously, as a non-technical person, my first thought is not to go build a whole suite of AI agents to automate the process. I'm just going to Google online networking automation or something like that. I found one guy in Bangladesh that did it for $8. I didn't want to give him my credit card information, so I instead went with sales outreach tools like Apollo. Has anyone used Apollo in the room? Show of hands. Okay. Rocket Reach. So, like one person. I guess that's not. If you'd use it if you're in sales, right? These are basically tools where they have a big database of contacts that work at different organizations, and you can reach out to them, sales outreach through there, and you can sell them products. So they kind of do something similar where they have a bunch of contacts and you could automate some outreach to them. And I tried to use them, and I paid like $50 a month for it. And what I got for that $50 a month was I got the features that I didn't need for networking. I didn't need purchase intent, like their likeliness to purchase my product. I got, with those extra features, they took so long to learn, so I spent actually more time than I did manually networking because I was trying to learn all these random tools. And I was obviously overpaying for these tools as well, and they were just too complex for the use case. And when I tried, they had some AI stuff in there, and when I tried to use the AI, it said, oh, okay, Jason, if you want to use our AI, what are your customers' pain points? I'm like, I don't have a customer. What is your company's value proposition? I don't have a company. Then they're like, oh, I guess you can't use our AI tools. So there was no solution, which is why we built it. Nodalli, in contrast, it's built specifically for you guys. So instead of $50 a month, it's half that, about 20, and it's stripped of all the features that aren't applicable for your use case. There's no purchase intent and all that stuff. That makes the overall platform cheaper, way simpler to use. And instead of manually going and picking contacts and choosing which ones you want to add to your sequence and all this complexity, it's all done for you. It reads your LinkedIn, it finds the people, and automatically sends emails. And then when they reply, it books those conversations into your calendar, all done for you. That's why we cut the amount of time for 100 outreaches from 25 hours to 2 minutes. We just built something that we wish we had when we were in your shoes in university.
I guess one final question before we move on to Q&A. I guess this is also a little bit of a curiosity of mine as somebody who's working for a, I guess, big company right now. You've worked for Deloitte and you worked for TD before. Compared to working for a corporate company or an environment like that, how different is it working as an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
And what are some things you prefer being in the corporate environment versus what are some things you prefer where you are at right now?
That's a good question. So much more fun.
Yeah, definitely more fun. That's first and foremost. But I would say the biggest reason why I do entrepreneurship or get into startups is mainly because I want to have like ownership in what I do, and I want to be able to kind of take my own creativity to whatever level I want. If you work corporate, a lot of the times you kind of get put in a box. You get stifled on what you can build and what you can do, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's obviously people that have been doing it for a long time. They have experience. You can learn from them. You can grow from them. But I think if you're a person that's a little bit more risk prone and you're willing to kind of like troop it out, I think startups could be for you. And one thing that I would say corporate does a lot better is it's a lot better to maybe meet people on a regular basis. There's more stability. There's more uniform. So if you don't really thrive in chaos, I don't think I would suggest doing a startup. It's really hard in the beginning. It's not easy. But if you have a really good passion to learn and grow and you want to really build something of your own and be proud of it, go for it. There's no reason not to. And as a student, as a young person, there's so much resources throughout Canada, throughout the universities and colleges that can help you really go really far with it. So find a good team, work on a cool idea, and just go for it. Why not?
Yeah, the passion, having passion for what you do changes everything. Like, I don't know how much you all know about the hours in investment banking. Does anyone know how the average amount of time that an investment banker works in a week? Like, want to guess? Anyone? Okay, 100, 80, 100. Yeah, 80 to 100 is right. That means like 7 days a week. You're just in all, like, the only time you go home is just to sleep, and then you're right back in the office. And that's what I was doing. And I remember it was my birthday, it was a Saturday, and it was 3 a.m., and I was working on this deck that I couldn't care less about. And I had like Montreal plans for the weekend because it was my birthday, and I had to cancel all of it. It was a really memorable experience. But I'm not gonna lie, we work pretty similar. I mean, not all the time. We have way more control over our hours, but there's times where we're just not sleeping. Like, when there's a pitch coming up, or presenting to potential investors or other audiences. Yeah, there's like nights where we did not sleep editing videos, putting together decks, crunching numbers, but I loved it. Like, I felt alive, because I was actually building something that, instead of it being just like a pile of papers on the ground, which it actually is at home, it's actually something real, alive. Like, we're here sharing sort of what we're building, and also all the lessons we learned through the struggles with all of you. And you're going to all share that with other people and implement those lessons into your lives and change the world. So this is way more motivating and rewarding than putting that same amount of effort, same time in kind of that corporate box. But with the caveat that it's not for everybody, 100%. It does provide a lot of stability. The money and the predictability was very nice. And some people can't, unfortunately, afford the kind of flexibility of entrepreneurship. So definitely keep that in mind. I know it's portrayed as very sexy, but learning, I've seen people learn the hard way of going into it too quick, just out of excitement, and burning out or not having the financial runway to do so. So very exciting, but definitely think deep about it.
Yeah, we're not trying to scare you, but go for it if you have a good idea. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's all the questions I have for you guys today. I want to pass it off to the audience. If anyone has any questions, feel free.
Yeah, so we use front ends like Vite, React, TypeScript, pretty traditional technologies right now. You can host it on like Railway using Superbase tables, Postgres. We use various like RAG models, LLMs. He's probably like, okay, I know half of it. But I would say a lot of our tools and technology and stacks is things that are pretty matured. And the only things I would say is like what we really focus on and want to kind of create our own IP in is the training of the models and having our own kind of like IP there. So like one of the things that we're doing right now is you can kind of upload writing samples and kind of train the emails to sound like you. It's not just a generic AI email. I know we all use AI here and there to write emails or messages, and oh my God, how many times do you get the long dashes and you're like, everyone looks at them like, this is an AI message, right? So there's things you can do to kind of like make it a little bit more human and sound like you. So that's one of the things we do. Another thing is just a big part of our IP as well is sentiment analysis. So we actually understand the kind of messages coming back, and we can kind of prompt the follow-up messages from that. We can also prompt automatic event booking, calendar booking, so those kind of things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
So, I saw how that came
Yeah.
with,
You can, maybe you're going to share the name, but before that, I can tell you quickly, like, so you're asking like why we're working on it?
yeah, like how do you like decided like this is it?
Okay, yeah, definitely. Like, and I think a big part of it was because of how, like how many tools came out for like automatic applying for using AI resumes. I saw that model and I just really didn't understand it. I think because of it, we're kind of reverting back to old school where you kind of print out a resume and you go to an office and you hand it in. It went from that to online applications where it's more manageable. You have a person kind of reading through it to now AI is flooding the recruiter's inbox. They cannot look through all of them. So I think the best way to really make the connection and get a job is by just having a conversation and having a chat. So that's why I really believe in Nodalli, and that's why I really want to focus in. And the biggest part about it is really just working with this guy. It's you gotta really love your team and what you're doing with them and how you work together, and that's the biggest part. Nodalli can pivot 100 times. I'll still love to work with this guy, and I know whatever we do, we can take it to the moon.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. In terms of the name, in a network, there are nodes, and we connect the nodes. Yeah. We have actually a part of our IP is Echo Guard, and that just has a number of guards to prevent kind of situations that our users don't want to encounter. So one of them is reaching out to somebody that you already know, or that you just don't want to reach out to in general. So for all the 200 contacts that are provided to you, you need to spend about a minute playing Tinder and vetting each one. Do I like this person's past job experience? Yeah, well, I'll talk to them. I don't want to talk to them. I'll talk to them. So you have to vet your contacts. And then, okay, we want to make sure that both of you aren't reaching out to the same person. Or what if all of you reach out to the same person on the same day? That would be crazy. So we need guards in place for that as well to prevent contact fatigue. and then also company fatigue. You don't want all of you reaching out to the same company in the same time period. So we have measures that track, when people are reaching out to who, to what companies, to ensure that we're avoiding all of those very scary circumstances. Okay, I'll start with this. That situation that I kind of went through when I had to pick between academics and my career and my family should never happen. Networking should never be the reason as to why, or the access to your network should never be the reason that you can't pursue a competitive career. Kind of another layer to that story was another challenge that I don't talk about too often when pursuing banking was, 5% of all bankers are black, so it's very few. Even I'm also half Filipino, and even a smaller percentage of those of Filipinos are bankers as well. So statistically, I don't have a good chance of having a family member in that space. So I'm at a natural disadvantage versus my Caucasian peers, where it is very likely for them to have a banker or consultant or someone in that general space that might know a banker to eventually connect them. So I have to work harder, naturally. And that shouldn't be the case. The people that are getting into these roles, it should be a byproduct of their work ethic, their capabilities, and so forth. It's not their socioeconomic status. So at a deeper layer, we're trying to level that playing field. That should not be the case at all, not just in Canada, but around the world. If there is a very skilled financial professional in South Africa, a place that we're visiting actually for kind of this reason in fall, they should be able to come to Canada if they want to, if they have the right skill set, right? We should be able to bridge that gap for them with Nodalli. So it's really leveling the playing field, making sure that the job market is efficient and as a result of hard work and ambition, which I think most people that we speak to agree with.
200K for the club. How would you go about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so firstly, I would I would look within my school. So there's different levels of student government. There's the program level. So the program that you're in specifically, there's money at that level. If you just look at your kind of program administrator and the department, they can give you money. Then there's the faculty level, which is like the faculty of science, faculty of business. They have even more money, and they're willing to throw it at good ideas. Most schools throw it at bad ideas, and ideas that yield no trackable results. So it's the bar. It goes back to our question. Like, you need what's the benefit of starting in university? The bar is so low. Just produce an event that actually tracks some positive metrics, and it'll blow their mind. So I'd go to the faculty level as well, and then at the university level, there's even more money. Same idea, throwing money at a lot of inefficient initiatives. So I look at my school. And then you could partner with other organizations at other universities, which is what we did with Investa Insights, the largest student-run finance club that we built. It partners with over 15 different universities, and we're able to pool resources from different universities using that same methodology to put together magnitudes or volumes of funds. And then you have all of that, and then you go to any corporation and say, hey, look at this big thing we're doing without you, loser. And they're like, wait, let me throw a couple dollars in there. And whatever, if it's like a tech event, probably going to be FANG. If it's going to be finance, then it's your big five banks, big four consulting and accounting. Yeah, so it's in school, then you partner with others, and then you pull in privates is the strategy I go with.
Yeah. So we have a couple different agents. The first agent is probably the most important, where we actually intake your LinkedIn, your resume, any contextual data of yourself, and we build a profile of who you are, your work experience, your schooling history, all those different things, and all those different endpoints kind of come together through an algorithm to generate search results and criteria depending on where your trajectory is in your career. We also basically take all this information, generate it, and allow you to edit it as well. So once this profile is generated, you can come in and edit whatever you want. So you can kind of pick target locations, industries, companies. You can talk about what your pain points are, what's your short-term, long-term goals, and all this data is kind of crunched in, and that's kind of the beauty with AI is it's like almost it's like an endless black box where you can throw so much input into it and still have high quality output. So I don't, hopefully that answers your question, but our first agent is kind of like that profile generation where we take as much data and context of what you're looking for and who you are into that search. I get the question, definitely. That's why we added the step where you can kind of vet your contacts. We don't want to just give you contacts and say it's all done. We think it's best that you still take a look and take a peek, because in the end of the day, people can write whatever they want on LinkedIn, but it's really up to you to kind of decide who you want to talk to and who you want to connect with. So that's why we added the vetting system. When it comes to that, I would say that's something that's probably like an ongoing problem for anyone. You probably get solicitors calling you saying, "Hey, you have a package from DHL," and you're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Right? So there's definitely a lot of scammers and fake accounts everywhere. But at the end of the day, we give you the option to kind of vet through it and see which ones you like, which ones you don't like. And we try to make it as simple and as convenient as possible.
I guess for the last question, I have a question of myself. For those among us that are thinking of starting our own business or have this $1 billion idea that's we want to turn into a business, is there a moment that in your journey that you noticed where it was like you knew you were ready and you're ready to jump in, or is it more of a case of just do it, man, figure it out as you go?
The second one. I think, hell no, there's no real like perfect moment. It's kind of like you're gonna get paralysis if you wait for that moment. It's almost like that problem I said tutorial where you keep just kind of doing intro 101, 101, 101. It's best to just get into it and do it. And honestly speaking, I think the most important thing, I keep iterating it so many times, it's the team, the team, the team. You want to pick the people you want to work with. And I hate when people say, "Oh, I don't want to do business with my friends." If you can do business with your friends but in a mature, disciplined way, there's no reason not to. Like, it's always good to work with people you like and you enjoy being with, and you can kind of push each other and hold each other accountable. So the team's the most important thing in my opinion, and there's never a right time to start. If you have a good idea, you have a cool opportunity, just go for it and don't look back. At the end of the day, you either make a bunch of money or you make a bunch of skills and learn a bunch of new things.
Yeah. It's going to be painful, and it always is, even when you are developing the skills. You just always move to the next level where, like, the moment where you get comfortable, is is enjoy that short kind of respite, because it's just gonna become painful once more, because even like there's always a next level. You get to your first $1,000 in revenue, you're like, wow, that was great. But like my buddy over here is making 10,000 a month. Oh my God. Oh, that's the minimum you need for even consideration in VC nowadays. Okay, 10K a month. Oh, now we need to do like millions of dollars per year. And then you get to Elon Musk level where he's even actually still probably very uncertain about how things are going to be working out at Tesla, SpaceX, X, etc. So there's always levels, and you're always going to feel this uncertainty as part of the game. And speaking of consistent challenges and the pain that you feel, I keep forgetting to mention, but actually specifically for you guys, we wanted to ensure that you get the opportunity to try to network with the least amount of friction as possible. So if you actually go on the Nodalli website right now, and you sign up for our wait list, right now we're actually exclusively with Toronto Metropolitan University. They made it so we had to do so. But if you go and sign up for the wait list, when we are public for all of you to join, and if you put the code, what is it?
SCSC 20.
SCSC 20. If you don't get a coffee chat from the platform, we'll pay all you $20 each. Yeah. But don't share the code with anybody outside of the room.
Yeah, bleep that out. Yeah. 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 Is it being streamed at all on Discord? Just curious. That's fine. It's fine. That's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
It's for the chat too. What's up, chat? SC 20. Yeah.
Okay, I want to wrap it up by saying you two, clearly, we saw your calendar, are very busy people. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming along. It was a pleasure meeting you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.